feel when I talk to folks about ticks, it kind of elicits that same sense of fear, almost like spiders, right? People don't say like, oh, ticks are so cute, they're adorable, I wish I had a pet tick. It's more like they're like, oh, that's disgusting, but it's a blood feeder, and unfortunately, there is a risk of disease transmission with some of these ticks. Tick is more closely related to like spiders, scorpions, and it's because they don't have the same body segmentation that we see in insects. So all insects have 3 body segments, right? A head, thorax, and an abdomen. So our tick basically just has 2 segments. It's not even a real head, it's just mouth parts and the rest of its abdomen. So they do feed on blood, both the males and the females. But the thing is, with these ticks, they are an increasing problem in the United States. They're increasing their range, the number of species we're finding are increasing, and the diseases that they transmit are also increasing in range. So a little history of some of the pathogens that ticks can transmit. Ticks actually can transmit quite an interesting diversity of pathogens. And especially for our livestock, it's actually a lot. Ticks are a lot more important in terms of keeping our livestock safe compared to mosquitoes. So the first human tick-borne pathogen that was discovered was Rocky Mountain spotted fever. What do you think about when you hear Rocky Mountains? Do you think of Tennessee and the Carolinas? Rocky Mountain spotted fever, when it was first discovered in Montana. So that's why it was called Rocky Mountain spotted fever. But the name is a bit of is misleading, because most of the human cases actually show up in the southeast to south sort of central states. You don't actually get too many cases in Montana and the Rocky Mountains. In the late 50s, we had Powassan virus. So that's kind of an oldish pathogen, but you might have been only hearing about that one fairly recently. That one's a virus. A lot of the other ones we deal with tend to be bacteria. So mostly bacterial, we have some viral, and we also have a protozoa. So 7 pathogens from about 1900s to about 1960. So then we move forward from 1960 to 2016. Now we've got at least 11 plus new pathogens. We've got babesiosis. Now we're starting to see this one, Borrelia burgdorferi, show up. I'm sure almost everybody in this room knows what that one is. So that's the bacteria that causes Lyme disease. So that's the one that's spread by the black-legged tick. We've got a whole new series of pathogens showing up, different types of Borrelia, different types of Lyme. And we've got tick paralysis. It's not really a pathogen, it's a toxin that's released by a tick that can cause paralysis. So how do they find their food? So they're not like a mosquito, they can't fly, they're not like a flea, they can't jump. So they are going to sort of hunt for their food by climbing up a blade of grass, a piece of vegetation, and they're going to use their front legs and kind of wave it around, not because they're getting jiggy with it, but because they got special organs on their legs that can detect CO2, can detect heat. Ticks are blind, but they can still detect some movement, like through vibrations and maybe some shadow detection. And they have little hooks on the end of their legs. And when somebody walks by, whether it's a human or a deer, they can grasp on and then try to find a place to attach. You might not like ticks, and you might try to think that you can run and hide, but you're not going to get away from the potential risk of these tick pathogens.